played in a place called the Jubilee Auditorium, and this is after the show. That night, our work done, we rolled out of the Jubilee, down the valley and swam around in the Saskatchewan, then partied with some comely Canadian fur traders, like it was 1791. Mythology bubbles up me like melted plastic. I sit alone on the bank of the glacial Saskatchewan, beside a low-lying bridge, picking at a thread in my jacket sleeve. Pick, pick, pick. Cubic tons of water spew along the river's course. I strip off my reeking sick bag suit and rinse it in the river. Wash away the Fairmont Hotel McDonald's dry cleaning services toxins all the way to Lake Winnipeg. And naked, I drift into a sort of reverie. I remember the disastrous events from the town of my youth. The boy who accidentally shot and killed his brother in the street next to ours. The boy who had a fatal allergic reaction to multiple bee stings. The old dead man we found in a gully on the way to school. But mostly I remember what my mother and father told me about the boy who had died jumping off the railway bridge. He had hit the concrete pylon support that lay submerged beneath the water and was knocked unconscious. He drowned. He was found a couple of days later, tangled in the branches of a half-felled tree. Mostly I remember that. I light a cigarette and resting there on the bank, stare out across the dark moonlit river and wonder how many memories I have mislaid along the way and whether they will ever be retrieved. Without warning, I am overwhelmed by a particular kind of sorrow, swollen and hard in my chest, that is reserved for the loss of something both utterly precious and entirely illusory, and my eyes well with tears that spill down my cheeks. I stay that way for a time until I become aware of a shallow breathing coming from beneath the bridge. I rise to my feet and, hunching down, crawl under the heavy wooden crossbeams to investigate. It is damp and dark under the bridge, and although it takes some time for my eyes to adjust, I grope my way towards the strange, locking breaths that seem to emanate from a fringe of rushes along the bank. I lean down, and there, lying on her side in the shadowy reeds, I find a small, pale she-dragon, sick and close to dying. Her eyes are closed, and when I put my hand on her neck to feel for life, her armored eyelids roll back to reveal startling orange slits. She looks at me for a moment and then closes her eyes. There is the faintest discernible pulse. I kneel down and wrap the dragon in the jacket of my suit, and with some difficulty carry her up the slope to the majestic Fairmont Hotel and McDonald in Edmonton. Mythology bubbles up within me and all about me. The dragon lies on the bed in my suite at the Fairmont. Her breath is so shallow as to be almost non-existent. Sometimes her breathing catches and stops, and I think she has died, and I panic and wring my hands, but then there is the odd clicking noise in her throat, and her delicate respirations begin again. I have turned up the lights as the brightness seems to agitate her. A phone rings repeatedly in the room next door. I turn on the flashlight app on my iPhone and examine her, a little squamous Dracania, with intricate trace markings curling around her body. On the webbed back foot is a long bone spur used to poison her attackers. Her sexual organ is a neat blue-rimmed fold, and the waxy skin on her belly, under the light of the iPhone, has an opaline sheen that is heartbreaking. Everything is happening, and has happened, and will always happen. Everything that exists has always existed, and will continue to exist. Memory is imagined, it is not real. Don't be ashamed of its need to create. It is the loveliest part of your heart. Myth is the true history. Don't let them tell you that there are no monsters. Don't let them make you feel stupid just because you're happy to play down in the dark with your flashlight. The mystical world depends on your tolerance for the absurd. Be strong, my darling ones, and believe. And you too, I say to my dragon. Be strong, I say. And I cover her body with a thin blanket. Be strong, I say. And there in my underwear, I press my ear to the dragon's slow-moving side and adhere to the distant argument of her breath. After a time, in a low whisper, I address my wife in the hope that she may hear all those many miles across the sea. Hang in there, I say to my wife. Be strong, I say. You can do it. There are 1 million of us all over the world breathing like you tonight.